Today, we're diving into something really mind-bending. It's a book called New Perspective, and it puts forward this really radical new way of looking at physics. We're talking about a bold attempt to rethink the very fabric of reality itself. So, the book kicks off with a question that just cuts right to the chase. What if the way we see the world, our most basic assumptions about how it all works, is just fundamentally wrong? What if the reality we think we're measuring is just a tiny slice of what's actually out there? To really get what the author is proposing, first, we have to understand the problem they're trying to solve. And it's a big one. You could call it a deep crack that's running right through the foundation of modern physics. See, on one side, we've got general relativity. It's our beautiful, elegant theory for the really big stuff: planets, galaxies, gravity. And then on the other side, we have quantum mechanics, which describes the totally bizarre, probabilistic world of tiny particles. Now, here's the problem. Both of these theories are incredibly successful, but they just don't work together. They're completely incompatible, speaking different languages, which means we can't describe places where both are important, like what's happening inside a black hole. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The author's big claim is that for decades, we've been trying to stitch these two theories together. And maybe that's just the wrong approach entirely. Maybe the problem isn't with the theories at all, but with a much deeper, hidden assumption we make every single time we do science. And that hidden assumption is what the author calls the human perspective. Think about it. It's our instinct to slice and dice reality into little pieces. We always separate the thing we're measuring from the thing doing the measuring, a particle from empty space. We have to do this to run an experiment, right? But what if? What if that separation is just an illusion? A trick of our own perspective that we impose on a reality that's actually one single, seamless, indivisible whole. Okay, so if our perspective is the problem, what on earth is the solution? Well, this brings us right to the heart of the author's new model, this idea of the machinery of nature. The author makes a really crucial distinction here. Our current theories are jam-packed with mechanisms, equations, rules, laws that are great at describing how things behave. But they're missing the machinery. They don't tell us what reality is actually made of that causes it to act that way. It's like knowing all the rules of chess, but having no idea what the board or the pieces are actually made out of. And that idea leads us to the book's central and pretty wild proposal. To find the true machinery, we have to get rid of all our artificial distinctions and just assume that reality is made of just one thing. That's it. No separate particles, no fields, no empty space. Just one single fundamental object. This one thing gets a name: space. Now, try to picture it. It's a single, continuous, and elastic three-dimensional fabric that literally makes up everything in existence. It can be stretched, it can be vibrated. In this model, space is the machinery of nature. It's the whole shebang. So, the big question is, how does a single elastic fabric create the incredibly complex world we see all around us? Well, in this model, everything we perceive, particles, forces, you, me, it's all just different kinds of waves and shapes moving through this fundamental fabric. This idea just completely flips our entire understanding of what matter is. I mean, we're taught that particles, like an electron, are these tiny, separate little points zipping through space. But in this new picture, they're not separate objects at all. There's something else entirely. They are stable, repeating patterns of vibration. Think of them as a kind of persistent, resonant shape inside the fabric of space. The best analogy is a whirlpool in water. The whirlpool isn't a separate thing from the water, right? It's just a stable pattern of motion within the water. The idea here is that particles are exactly like that. And this isn't just a philosophical idea. The author has actually built computer simulations to try and see if this works. What you're seeing here is a visual representation of sea-space, modeled as a grid of points, all connected by elastic rules. The goal is to basically poke and prod this digital fabric to see if these stable, particle-like shapes can naturally emerge and interact. So if you accept this premise, it leads to a completely new way of organizing physics. Instead of this endless search for a single theory of everything, the author suggests we think of it as a two-layer paradigm. Okay, so layer one is reality itself. That's sea-space, this single elastic fabric. That's the ground truth. Then layer two is where all of our current physics lives. General relativity, quantum mechanics, they aren't seen as descriptions of reality itself anymore. Instead, they're seen as different human interpretations, different perspectives on the underlying behavior of sea-space. And this, right here, is maybe the most profound takeaway. It means that all the weirdness of quantum mechanics, the probabilities, the uncertainty, all of it, it doesn't need some new, strange interpretation. The author argues quantum mechanics is the interpretation. It's just the mathematical language that naturally pops out when our limited human perspective tries to impose divisions on a reality that is fundamentally whole and interconnected. Now, if this model is even remotely on the right track, the implications are absolutely staggering. It would force us to completely rethink some of the biggest, most fundamental ideas in all of science. I mean, just think about the consequences. If everything we know is just the shape and motion of a single fabric, what happens to all of our most cherished concepts in physics? Well, for starters, the four fundamental forces, they might just be artifacts of our perspective. Dark matter? Maybe it's not needed at all if large-scale waves in sea-space are what's creating the gravity we see. The age of the universe? That could be totally wrong if space itself has changed over time. And yeah, even the speed of light might not be some universal constant, but just a local property of this underlying fabric. And this quote from the book really nails the philosophical shift here. We always think of the universe as following a set of laws. But this model says, no, reality doesn't follow laws. Its behavior just emerges from its own built-in properties, from its machinery. It doesn't need to read a rule book to know how to be itself. Now, it's really important to be clear here. These are conjectures. The author is not asking anyone to just believe this stuff. They're asking for investigation. And that's why the book closes by bringing up the famous motto of the Royal Society, nullius in verba. It basically means take nobody's word for it. This whole model isn't being presented as the final answer. It's being presented as a call to action, a proposal for a new way of doing research, to build the models, run the simulations, and see if this new perspective can actually reproduce the world that we see. And that really leaves us with one last powerful question to think about. This whole journey forces us to ask, when we write down our elegant equations and build these incredible experiments, are we really uncovering the deep secrets of reality itself? Or are we just getting better and better at describing our own limited human relationship with it?